Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Hope you can see me okay. You can hear me all right. Do let me know. Put into the chat. Let me know. Trying a little bit of a different format today. No, moving forward, trying a little bit of a different format where, for all the regulars, you know the drill, right? Usually at 3 p.m. I'll go on live. We talk about the market, we talk about the news, we talk about trade setups, we look at stop loss, take profit levels, and all that kind of stuff. We talk about what has happened, we talk about what's coming up. Then the new features on YouTube came around, um, and I'm trying something different where every week, right, I will pick a topic. For example, this week's topic is about gold. Gold climbing to new all-time highs and continuing to climb to new all-time highs. So we'll talk about gold this week. Maybe next week we'll talk about maybe Bitcoin, or we'll talk about Trump's um, tariffs against China from Friday, restarted on Friday, reignited on Friday. We could even talk about trading strategies, indicators to use, educational bits and pieces on how to, you know, how to talk about how to use different indicators, how to use different strategies, what's happening in the markets, the breakdowns, right? So over the week, we'll break it down bit by bit, and that's why I'm starting a bit earlier, at 2:30. We'll do about 30 minutes worth of that, maybe more, maybe less. And then after that, we'll switch over to the members only um, live stream. So this is publicly available. You guys are watching us on YouTube. Then after that, about 3 o'clock, thereabouts, we'll switch over to our members only live stream. So we'll talk about trade setups and take profit levels and all that kind of stuff. The usual stream continues, right? So if you're on the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're here, let me know that you're on. If you're new to the session, let me know where you're joining us from. Would love to find out. I see, hey Rajat, how you doing? How's Dubai? Hope you're well, Rajat. Take care. Jimmy, I am doing very well, doing very, very well. Been busy. Well, weekend. The markets were crazy on Friday through the weekend with Bitcoin and with cryptocurrencies dropping like mad. Didn't short sell it down, but been busy this morning trading gold back up. So that also adds on to the things I was writing for today, talking about gold. All right. So while you're on the session, all of you are on the session, do remember to drop a message, say hi. Any questions, put into the chat and let me know. And also remember to click that thumbs up button. It does help with the algorithm to get more people onto the session. And if you haven't already, click that join button. That's where you can join us on our members only live stream at about 3 o'clock. Okay, or when I go through whatever I want to go through today. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's talk about gold, right? Right now, let me just check my chart. Um, Gold is at 4,070. It's been pushing up. You can look at it here. Gold, we talked about it getting up towards the 4,100 level. This was because of Trump's introduction of tariffs, and then we've seen it continue to push back up after all that this morning. Right, this morning has kept me busy as it continued to push up towards the previous high, and now has broken above that previous high. So it's been pushing. Could very quickly get to that 4,100 level. So that's one of the things that we're looking at, and the reason why we're talking about gold for today. I've lost my thing. Give me a second. Okay. Hey, Roger. I think that's Hey Rajat, I'm not in Dubai at the moment. I will probably be there maybe in a month, 2 months time. But yeah, whenever I'm in, I'll drop you a message and we can catch up. Couple of people to meet up with in Dubai, so I'm looking forward to go back again. All right. So yeah, gold has just crossed that, getting to that 4,070 price level. Right? You think about it, 4,070. The funny thing was on Friday, I actually went to a gold vault looking at how they store um, gold bricks, gold bullion, silver bricks, and bullions. Massive, massive vaults, 5 ton doors, 9 ton doors, you know, crazy security. Talking about gold investments. So it's it's always been thought of as the commodity, the safe haven commodity, right? And the headlines, you've probably heard the same story over and over, with gold climbing, climbing, climbing to the 3,000, 3,005, 4,000, now almost 4,100 level. You've heard the headlines. It's talking about inflation. It's talking about uncertainty. It's talking about it being a safe haven um, commodity. But there is a little bit more to that complete picture, right? Because what most people are missing is that this whole gold rally, this continuous climb to the upside, is not just about inflation, right? It's not just about inflation. Inflation is somewhat controlled, right? It has somewhat been controlled. Trump's tariffs have not caused inflation to skyrocket as most markets have expected, right? So inflation is somewhat controlled. Gold, on the other hand, has risen about 50% this year, and it's hitting all the highs, not just in dollars, but in the euros, in the yen, even in Chinese yuan, right? In every major currency. So it's about something a little bit bigger than just inflation. It's a little bit bigger than uncertainty. It's a little bit bigger than the safe haven demand. It's about the trust or the lack of it, right? The trust of the gold standard, the US gold standard, or the lack of it. So we're going to look into this week, like I was saying, this week we're going to look into gold at different angles, right? What could happen, how much it could go up by, how much it could turn back down by, right? We're looking into, why it matters, what the charts are saying, and what could go right or what could go wrong, and why we're thinking about it as well. So I call it Macro Monday. I call it Macro Monday. We look at the fundamentals, the economics, the policy, the forces behind this move that most people don't really understand or not really talking about. So over the next maybe 20 minutes, we're going to dive deep, and then for members, I'll switch over to the trade setup streams that we usually do on a day to day, or we've done for the last many, many years. Okay, so like I was just sharing with you, let me get to that. All right, so like I was just sharing with you, this is the gold chart. Okay, let's look at the daily time frame first. Right, it's really, really messy. We were looking for that big drop, it didn't happen, right? But it's really, really messy. And if you think about it, right, if you think about this whole move up, just put that we were here, right? Gold started here at that 2,600 price level, right? And since then, it's had a pretty much straight line up towards that 4,000, almost 4,070 level right now. So there's more than 50% gains in a year. We talked about that already. And you can see that it's out of that consolidation. It's trying to break out of that consolidation now. And you can see every time it has a big pop up, it sits in a bit of a consolidation, and then it pop up again, right? So it just keeps grinding higher and higher. Again, like we said, it's not just about inflation. right? It's about people being nervous about what's happening way out that side, way out in the US. The US is, of course, in a shutdown. You look at the dollar index here, the US is in a shutdown, it's pushed up, and then with the tariffs and all that concern, it's pushing back down right now. So the US is in a shutdown, there is uncertainty, there is a bit of a trust issue because they don't know what's going to happen with, or what's Trump going to say further. But if you dig into it, you see firstly who's buying gold, right? Who's buying gold, and you actually realize that a lot of the countries are, right? So a lot of the times it's not just a lot of times it's not just traders buying into it, right? It's also the major central banks are buying into gold at the moment or over the last period of time. Something there. Okay. So first thing in 2024, central banks started buying. I can't find the data. I'll put it up for you guys later. Central banks. So in 2024, central banks bought about 1,045 tons of gold. That's the second highest annual total on record, right? And in 2025, central banks have added about 19 tons in August alone. And we're seeing like this whole consistent buying month after month after month after month, right? But it's also not just that one or two countries that's buying gold at the moment. Poland has been the largest buyer in 2025. Right? I think they added about 67 tons year to date. If you think about Poland, where they are, Russia quite nearby, Ukraine at the bottom, Poland's right about there. I mean, I'm terrible with geography, but it's right about there. So Poland has been buying a lot of gold, right? Largest buy in 2025 at 67 tons. Then it's also other countries. About 95% of central banks expected official gold reserve to continue or expects continue increase in gold reserve. Poland is leading in 2025. China, they've been buying, but they've slowed down slightly based on official reporting. India, Turkey, Kazakhstan, even Uganda has been in the program to buy from the local miners. So this is not when central bankers are buying, um, or when central banks are buying. This is not about inflation hedging, right? If it were, we'll see the Western central banks buying as well, but we're not. So this is probably the early stage of de-dollarization, right? Of de-dollarization. Remember the video I did about BRICS and the threat to the dollar and possible de-dollarization? This feels like it's part of that, right? So after the U.S. froze the Russian reserves in 2022, emerging central banks, right, emerging market central banks decided decided that the dollar reserves could be weaponized and gold could not. Gold could very hard for it to be weaponized. Right? They can't control it that much. So central banks are now starting to buy gold directly from their own domestic mines instead of international markets. So it's become a strategic instrument. So when central banks buy gold and and gold prices dip 5%, 10%, then there's no panic sell. What we've seen over the years when uh, there's a move towards reserve, right? A retail move towards reserve is that when prices drop, then there is a quick sell and then it continues dropping all the way down. But now what we're seeing is central banks are buying for structural long-term demand. So when it drops 5, maybe even 10%, they're not going to panic. Right? It creates a bit of a floor because it goes price discovery, it comes back, it creates a bit of a floor, a pullback, it gets bought some more, and then it pushes right through. And that's what we're seeing. right on the charts of gold. With that, hey Angel Case, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Thanks for joining us. Right. So first off, we have the central banks buying into gold. Then we have the Fed Reserve talking more and more about rate cuts, right, and their monetary policy. So the thing about I was just listening to Bloomberg over the weekend was that with the government shutdown, right, with the current U.S. government shutdown now, there is no data for employment. The NFP that was supposed to be released a week ago or 2 weeks ago in the US has not. So we're not going to get NFP data for September. They're not going to have enough time to collect NFP data for October, and they're heading into a meeting. Let me just check, when was the meeting again? On the 29th of October. All right, so they're heading into a meeting on the 29th of October, somewhat blind on employment numbers. So the thought was that maybe the central bank or the Fed Reserve was saying that they could cut rates by 50 basis points by the end of the year. So talking about two rate cuts at 25 each. The thought was that maybe they won't do it straight away, right, if they had the data. But now, given no data, they might just have to continue cutting. And that's why we're seeing the percentage or the likelihood for the rate cuts to come to be pretty much a certainty, right? So based on the CME Fed Watch 2, we are seeing about a 95.7% chance, a 95.7% chance that there will be a rate cut on October 29th. A very, very low chance that they're not going to cut rates. So it's not just October, right? Then the next one is going to be in December, where there is a about in December where oh wait in October, yeah, then in December is an 89.4% chance for a 50 basis point rate cut, right? So October, we're looking at maybe a 95. If that doesn't happen, or if that happens, we might even be looking at a 50 basis point rate cut to come in December. So that massive potential, the potential for massive rate cuts to come from the Fed Reserve is also driving gold prices up, right? Because when interest rate falls, real yields also fall. Real yields are what you get after taking away inflation from nominal yields. And gold pays no interest. So when real yields are low or negative, the cost of holding on to gold decreases. So suddenly when you're getting nothing from gold, no interest payment from gold, it's not a big deal compared to getting 1% from bonds, or a couple of percentage from bonds, because it's not weaponized, it's safe, there's no cost, very low cost of holding, or no cost of opportunity cost of holding gold. So now it seems like the market is also front running the Fed Reserve. Given that gold has rallied that much, expectations that rates are coming down and going to stay down. So if the economic data stays strong and inflation reaccelerates, right? If Trump's policies causes inflation concerns, then the Fed may. What if the Fed doesn't cut as much as market expects? Right, gold could be vulnerable then. So we're talking about, if they do cut rates, dollar will drop, gold could push up. But if data stays strong, which we don't know now because they're in a shutdown, if inflation reaccelerates, if Trump's policies cause inflation to climb, which it hasn't since April, when he announced his tariffs, so it seems like quite a low chance that gold could become vulnerable, right? So we're in that kind of setup now. Is a historic high. There are possible reasons to why gold could turn back down, but it's not ready yet. Um, but gold does have a much higher base, and central banks are adding on, are buying, are increasing demand, right? Based on all that mistrust that we talked about earlier on. And then lastly, um, how it ties everything together, right? The geopolitical risk. The good thing is that we seem like we have a deal, a possible, I don't know how long it's going to last, but a possible deal um, in between Israel and Gaza, or in Gaza's region, right? And Palestine. Could be a deal. That could also, when we talk about the risk and turn back down later in the week, but that could also alleviate some big demand on gold. So Middle East conflict could be resolved, but it's still elevated. There's still a bit of uncertainty there, right? Trump has wrecked the global trade system. Just recently on Friday as well, introducing potentially or already have introduced new taxes on the new tariffs on China, right? 100% in addition to what's currently agreed on. So the trade war between US and China is getting worse or getting more angry. The Russia Ukraine war is still ongoing. Um, Ukraine president was just asking, hey, you made a deal in Israel and the Palestinians. Don't forget about trying to make a deal for Russia and Ukraine. So all that geopolitical conflict and risk and erosion of trust in the currencies is causing that big spike up in gold. Right? The difference is gold isn't just spiking on the headlines right now. Right? It's sustaining all those levels. Last time you would see it spike up, come back down, and then maybe slowly push back. Now it's spiking up and then continuing to the upside. Because these crises are structural, right? It's not just a temporary thing, it's structural. It's fundamental, right? It's whether the US can keep running the massive deficits, which is causing its shutdown right now, right? It's asking the question whether the US could remain as the world's reserve currency. It's asking the question whether central banks can print their way out of debt without any consequence. It seems very unlikely. It seems like everyone's getting wise to that already. So US national debt is over, I think 35 trillion and rising. The debt to GDP is at levels that we haven't seen since World War II. And gold is repricing against all currencies at the same time. Right? Gold in the US is all-time high, euro all-time high, gold against the yen all-time high, gold against the Chinese yuan all-time high. So it's not just Americans losing faith. It's not just Americans losing faith in the dollar. It's the whole world reassessing what the dollar, what money, what the fiat currencies actually mean. The bad thing is that we've also seen Bitcoin drop massively over the weekend as well. So while gold is functioning as a bit of a hedge against monetary instability and geopolitical chaos, as it will work. It will work as long as governments keep, or it could work. Well, it could work, it will work, it might work if governments keep running deficits, if central banks keep printing money, if the geopolitical tensions remains elevated, right? Then you see gold continue to push to the upside. I'm actually more interested to see when is it going to turn back down, or how much could it turn back down by. We'll talk about that on, I think on Wednesday if I'm not wrong. Okay, so that was a quick snapshot about what we talk, how we're going to talk about gold over the next couple of days. Um, Today is a bit of an introduction. Tomorrow we'll talk about technical on trend continuation. Wednesday, we'll talk about the possible correction back down again, whether it could correct all the way back down. Thursday, we'll talk about longer term trade setups that we could be looking for. And then Friday, we'll wrap it all up again. And then I'll talk about another possible um, topic for the next week. Does it sound good? And if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions on topic, do put it into the chat, do put it into the comments and let me know. Okay, so I'm always on the I need ideas. I need ideas on where could it what could we talk about? Okay, so gold at 4,070 right now is not random. 4,000 and wait, let me see what is it now. 4,069. 4,069 is changing on time. 4,069 is not random right now. It's the result of central banks buying, it's the result of monetary policy shifts, is the result of a fundamental reassessment of trust in the dollar, right? So what I'll do now, I think we're getting right up to it. Perfect timing. So what we'll do now is this is a new feature, so I'm going to try it out. We're going to be switching over to the members only portion where we'll talk about all the major currency pairs. We'll talk about we'll talk about gold and all the major currency pairs on our H1 time frame. The same thing we've done over the last couple of years. I hope this works. If you're a member, stay right there. Ideally, this stream should switch over automatically. If you don't, I'll figure something out. Okay, if you're not, this is completely new to me. So if you're not a member yet, you want to see the trade setups, you can click that join button below, right by my name on this video. Every day we'll do this 30 minutes, and at 3 o'clock we'll do the H1 setups for the members. All right, so thank you everyone for watching. Massive appreciation. Remember to click that like and subscribe if you haven't already. For all the non-members, I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for Technical Tuesday. And for all the members, fingers crossed that this works. I'm gonna click away and let's see. Let's see how it works. Okay. Right. So what I've just realized is that it needs a minimum of a 1 minute countdown. It needs a minimum of 1 minute countdown. We'll do that. I don't know whether it will tell me when it's going to switch over. You're most welcome, Angel Case. Hey, the one fam member. He just joined us, but we're switching over to the members only thing. So let me know if that works. Yeah, the problem is I don't know whether it's working or not. How do I know whether it's working or not? When this stream switches to members only, you'll be redirected. Okay.